Hey ratbags, it's Jade with a guide today to ants and ant hills. Grounded 1.0 is fast approaching, so it's about time we did a new guide for all the new players that are going to be incoming, or maybe older players that are looking to freshen up. In today's video that I'm sure you're going to like, if you find it useful, you'll find info about how to get the Rotten Bee armor set, upgrade parts for your weapons and armor, the full red ant armor set, and being able to make bombs, as well as unlock a chip that gives you more recipes and unlocks. So let's go, the ultimate guide to red ants in Grounded. So red ants are most likely to be one of the first creatures you come across when you start. They roam absolutely everywhere, and the majority of the red ants are the worker ants. These guys won't hurt you unless you hurt them. Once you do hit them, they'll alert any other ants nearby to come and help protect them. The first maybe anthill you'll explore is the abandoned one, which you can access either via the front entrance right next to the oak tree, or you can go ahead and access it through the underground oak laboratory. Through the broken glass where you first meet Burgle, then you can drop down or carry across a branch. This anthill isn't the most complex. You should find at least 200 science points by following the path that I've taken from the lab. There is a hole that leads deeper into the underground of the oak tree, but you won't need to go in there until you get some breathing equipment, as there will be some decent loot, but you're not ready yet. You may want to take a couple of slime torches with you, or at least a regular torch, and then swim to the end until you get to the slope. As soon as you leave the water, you should come across your first upgrade pieces for your weapons and armour, style nuggets and tough nuggets. Keep following the path up and you'll hit one of the milk molars. This is where you're able to upgrade, but you won't be able to access it until you get a level 2 hammer, so you need to come back here if you haven't got one already. So do remember that these are here. Directly below the milk molar is a scab as well as a couple soldier ants. Not to mention some more upgrade pieces. You'll also get one of the first scabs that you can unlock and change. This one is called Bugged. No matter what way you go through, it's a pretty easy place to explore. There aren't too many looping corridors or different ways to go. So if you go through the main entrance, you'll come across regular ants, and this would be a good spot to go farming them, as you're going to need plenty of these parts if you want to conquer the proper anthill. This one only has a fraction of the ants that you'll find in the main anthill, the red one at least, and yeah, it's a bit of an easier spot to take out some of these ants to get their parts. Ants don't do that much damage unless they're grouped up together like this, so sometimes you do want to take them out one by one if you can, or distract one from the rest of its little group. When ants are close to dying, they'll simply make a run for it, so you better get good at throwing your spear or making sure you've got enough stamina to finish the job. A spear should do fine just for one ant, but if you've got more than that, you might want to consider making an ant club as soon as possible, or at least having a shield so you can block all their attacks properly. The torches really are a must so that you can see for the small portions of nuggets that are laying through here. This anthill doesn't have as many soldier ants. Normally you only come across 2, possibly 3, and the majority of them are just the regular worker ants, and they'll leave you alone. You've got to be a bit more careful though once you get to the main chambers. You should find a style nugget just here when you drop down, and you can tell this room apart from some of the others, as this is where you'll encounter the soldier and there's light shining on the roof. Soldier ants do more damage when they attack you and hit you, and they definitely take a lot more punishment. But as long as you're able to block, you should be able to deal with at least one of them alone pretty easily. Completing the old anthill first is the best order, as you'll get enough ant parts to hopefully craft a full ant armor set, and then you can go and clear out the proper anthill without any of the ants attacking you, as that's one of the bonuses of the ant set. Keep going up the tunnel and you'll find some more pieces of style nugget, and you should come across some tough nuggets as well, and a few more ant soldiers. In more than groups of one, it really can be a bit tough taking these on, so you kind of want them to get them synced up in attacking you. That means getting close to them, and eventually they should do so. But it'd be a good idea to have crafted a weevil shield before taking on more than one ant soldier. Ants are more vulnerable to stabbing weapons, so things like mosquito needle and of course spears, as well as bow and arrows. The worst weapon to be used against them is either an axe or anything with slashing damage. Ants also have a weak point, so make sure you aim for the eyes. Red soldier ants are always hostile, as I mentioned, so you do need to have the full ant kit if you want to come through these caves unmolested. Also note, if you attack one ant, then it will alert the majority in close proximity and they'll all attack you, even while you're wearing full ant armour. Once you've cleared out the 2 or 3 soldier ants, you should be able to explore the rest of the abandoned anthill without anything killing you, although there isn't that much more loot in here. You should have 3 or 4 style nuggets and maybe only 1 or 2 tough nuggets from clearing out that anthill. If you already spent money on the upgrading station for weapons and armour, you should now be able to go ahead and craft it with the pieces you found. And you can start thinking about upgrading some of your weapons. With 2 of the acid glands you got from killing the soldiers, you should be able to craft the red ant arm guards. You'll also need a ton of might fuzz and at least 1 ant head from killing regular ants to go ahead and craft a full set. Analysing ant parts will give you access to the red ant club, normal chair and the red ant armor set. Scan their head and you get access to the red ant worker head mount. The main use of red ant armour is to do stuff with your base, as you can carry up to 8 grass planks when you're wearing the full suit, and it does give you protection. Other ants, red ants only, will leave you alone when you go and explore any of the ant hills, even soldier ants, unless you do anything silly like attack them or take one of their eggs. Red ant armour is also a light armour set, so you'll be able to use more of your stamina. When it comes to mutations, the ant-nihilator will give you extra attack damage against ants. This should work for all ants in game, even black ones and more. To activate the first level though, you're going to need to kill 50 black ants or red ants, phase 2 100 black ants or red ants, or phase 3 150 black ants or red ants. Additionally, phase 3 comes with more damage resistance to ants by 10% too. Other notable items are things like the repair tool to help repair your bases, as well as a red ant helmet for your pet, which increases their health by 25%. You can make decorative base pieces as well using the ant head parts, much like tables and chairs, but 2 of the most important things will be making the grinder as well as the spinning wheel. And like most of the bug parts, they are useful for making some sort of smoothie as well. The mandibles are also useful for making totems, the abomination one that you can get a recipe for, and liquid rage will give you more attack damage. Ants love their food. They'll hunt and attack weevils on sight and carry the meat back to their anthills, and they'll nib out any of the food that you'll see lying around like apple cores or cookies, giving you sometimes a chance to grab some if you haven't crafted a tier 2 axe just yet. They'll also steal as much food as they can from your backpacks if you've died and left one lying around, as well as any of your storage chests, so make sure you build pretty high. Killing lots of ants will obviously trigger a raid where they will have soldier ants attack you as well as regular ants, and they can be quite damaging as there's usually large numbers. Same thing goes for the waft emitter, lots of the soldier ants will come by. If you're trying to complete the mixer, which is in the grasslands just about, these will summon red soldier ants, normal ants, and lots of infected creatures like the weevils and the mites. This is where it's really useful to make sure you've got ant-nihilator upgraded as much as possible. If you're looking to make some of the brat burst or splat burst grenades, you're going to need ant eggs. These will respawn the more ants that you kill out in the rest of the world. They'll often come with a little timer on them once you've picked it up, giving you an indication in quarter lengths how long you've got until it hatches, so you don't necessarily want them hatching directly in your base, as they can then go and cause a bit of havoc. So if you can't get any ant eggs, make sure you go and kill as many of the regular ants as possible. Ants will be attacked by a bunch of other creatures, including stink bugs as well as black ants, so it can sometimes be a ploy to take a bunch of red ant eggs and dump them in the black ant hill to see if that can help reduce some of the numbers. But it's a strategy I've rarely seen people actually do very well, and it is kind of long-winded. While red ant armour protects you against red ants in terms of them ignoring you, it won't do the same for black ants, so bear that in mind too. So that's most of the info and uses of ant parts. What about the second anthill? Well, you need to go over to the beginning of the haze area, or the discarded land just between the grasslands and the haze. It's really not too far off from the first scanner that you come across when you spawn into the game. This anthill is much more busier, and it's not recommended to go through there unless you're willing to take out a whole bunch of ants, or you've definitely got the ant armour first. You'll also need at least 2 regular torches to explore and get all the loot inside. And this is where you'll find actual ant eggs. This is where the workers lay them, and it's the biggest amount that you can get in the game. As said before, don't pick up any of the eggs until you're ready to leave, and do remember that eggs do hatch. So if you pick any up, the ants will eventually swarm from them. So you only really need to get them when you're about to make actual grenades, or you want some eggs spawning. There will be 2 pieces of the star nuggets hidden behind that root, and then you've got a choice to go either left or carry on straight. I always go left, and you'll go through another network of tunnel that goes deeper down. This way you'll find your first tier 1 style rock, and you can break it with just a regular tier 1 hammer. You generally get at least 3 pieces each for each one of these rocks that you break, and there's a whole bunch in this anthill. Now we're going to keep following it down, and I'm going to guide you through every step so that you don't get confused. There'll be another one to break open, so that's 6 total so far, plus the 2 tough nuggets that we also found behind that route. Keep going down and you'll again come to an area where it seemingly has 2 different ways to go. Hug the wall to the right and you'll come across another style nugget and 1 more style rock to break open. There are lots of loops, so you can come to this direction from another way, but this is the way that I decide to go as it's the easiest. You'll also find another one on the left here, and then you're in the main chamber where you'll start to pick up things like the chip. This will give you brand new recipes, as well as the rotten B armor set and some fresh mints. You won't be able to get the fresh mint unless you've got a tier 2 hammer, and if you're looking for more of these mints to respawn in the starting area, this might be the only location until you go adventuring a bit further. But don't forget the B armor set at least, and let's carry on. So head back the way you come, and this time keep hugging the right hand side wall and follow the curve around. You don't want to be going up to where you've just come from. You should see the slime mold torches up in the roof, and then there should be another style nugget just below it. Now it's time for a swim. Don't forget that your torches will go out unless it is a slime mold torch, but you can go through it pretty quickly without worrying too much. There's 500 science points that you can gather, and that's pretty much it. Out on the other side you'll find a tough nugget piece, and there should be a tough nugget rock as you keep going up. A little further up you should find another tough nugget and style nugget, and then 2 more on the left hand side here. This leads to a big chamber with the second piece of the B armor, as well as a hole that you can fall through. That'll take you back to where we just were, where we discovered the first B armor set. So don't fall down it, instead go onto the left hand side and you should come across another tough rock. Follow the tunnel slightly downwards and you'll come across a scab nerve, which has got a reddy brown colour vibe to it. The tunnels start going upwards now, and you should find another couple pieces of tough nugget. Eventually you'll come to a cavern with 500 science points as well as a rock of style. And if there's any eggs here, it might be your safest bet to grab one without too many ants being close by. Look at this big rock on this little lip above. You need to get up here, as this is the 3rd and final piece of the B armor set. Just underneath the ledge you'll find 1 more tough rock, and if you keep going forward slightly over to the left hand side you'll find another rock of style down this corridor, and it should lead to another big cavern. 1 more rock of tough and a small nugget on the right hand side. This has got a ledge to it and there should be 2 ways to go. The milk molar, of course, you won't be able to get unless you've got a tier 2 hammer, just like before. And if you look just behind it where you came in the entranceway, you should find 1 more tough nugget and 1 style nugget. There's then 2 ways out of here. You can head towards the slime mold torches and that'll take you a corridor that'll lead all the way up to the very first fork in the tunnels, not forgetting to pick up these 2 style nuggets here on the floor. Or directly opposite the milk molar there should be an entranceway with red grass. You'll find another 2 style nuggets, keep going through the red grass, and eventually there'll be 500 science points also. This will take you back to the room where you discovered one of the B armor sets and a couple more pieces of tough rock, as well as the hole that takes you down. And that is pretty much it. Just keep following one of the ways upwards and eventually you'll be back to the main area. Again, this is where you might want to grab a few eggs and then run out there as quickly as possible and hopefully don't get nabbed by too many ants. Head back to Burgle and give him the chip, and then access the ASL store, and you can buy fibre bandage efficiency for 1500 science points, which reduces the materials needed to craft. You get a canteen upgrade for 1500 science points, which also gives you more drops to carry. Buff lungs and mutation, which allows you to get more of your stamina max increased. That is 3000 science points. Then you've got a sign set for creatures, which is 4000 science points, which actually give you 12 different images for you to use in your signs. And finally, you can also access the scab scanner. So if you want to get all the different types of scabs without watching a video, then you can go ahead and get this for 5000 science points. Does look like in the future we may encounter some ant bosses, as it's long been rumoured and put onto the feature board that we will face off against an ant queen. We're not sure if it's going to be a red ant queen, a black ant queen, or something else. Well, guess we'll find out at 1.0. So hopefully that's been useful. Like I said, if it has, do leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for the best in grounded content. With 1.0 here, I'm going to have fresh guides and absolutely everything you need to know about every bug, resource, new biome, new boss, and much more. So until next time, rat bags, laters.